So I'm on to December tests now, except I'm still finalizing like late stage fall tests. My mission overall is to get a year ahead on R&D. I'm trying to move quicker than we have in the past. Otherwise, we're always like releasing something in a couple weeks. That was fine when we were cottage bakers. It's not fine anymore. There's too many people to train, too much scale, too much risk of a new recipe really like not working well at scale. So you need time to flesh all that out. So I'm making a chocolate hazelnut bundt cake. It's based on the sourdough sweet starter pasca that we made in Easter. I'm trying to make it as a signature item for December. This is my second trial. The first one didn't go so well. Today's like almost overcompensated on the other end. You'll see when I pull them out of the oven. And I'm mixing a fresh batch to bake off tomorrow. Today's liquid sweet starter. Tastes good and active. You can see all the activity in there. So my recipe's adjusted since the first trial. And namely, I tried to get the right protein levels, so I'm mixing that tempered grain that I just started making that's locally grown in. Always getting the recipe sheet dirty right off the bat. Start the day. This is that tempered hard red spring. What's left of it. Sugar in the dough. It's also a process change since my last trial where I mixed the sugar in progressively. I decided not to do that this time, and I got a much better final result in developing the dough in the first place. Need a little vanilla extract. That works. Put that with the wet ingredients, and we need some salt. Okay, so you have dries mixed together now. Vanilla, salt, sugar, sweet starter, egg, both flours, done. Not enough to go in a big mixer today. This dough needs quite a bit of development time. I've got stuff to pull out of the oven, and so while this dough is developing, we'll do that and then come back and put the butter in the dough incrementally. That's the only ingredient left out right now. But the dough is so heavily enriched that if you don't develop the gluten properly up front, you really just don't get a good final product either. That's kind of the challenge we have going into this fall season is the holiday breads that we're making in the winter fall season tend to be heavily enriched with fats like butter or oil, sweeteners like honey or sugar. As you add more than just flour, water, salt into the dough, it really complicates the process a little. Makes the technique of mixing far more important. Order of operations, how well you're developing the doughs. Sourdough boules or batards with lean doughs are pretty forgiving. Absolutely insane what you're about to see. Yesterday I ran this same test and I'm baking it right now. I don't think those are the proper sizes for the final product. Obviously a little too big, but it's funny because the first trial we did, a couple weeks ago really didn't get this expansion at all, and it's because I didn't develop the dough well enough. So I did two different things yesterday. I tried the base dough on its own without any inclusions, and then I tried a very early stage chocolate hazelnut filling on the other side, which I'm gonna have to modify today because it just wasn't good to work with. It was way too, it didn't have enough creaminess or viscosity to spread easily. And so it was kind of a pain in the butt to work with. And I think I could just do better. But early stage trials after all. These are the plain dough ones. Hopefully they're baked through. Let's try. Did I get a bake all the way through? Yes, I did. Okay, no worries there. So we're not looking for this large of a final product. We'll see if we can get the sizing down today a little bit better. This one is so big that it burst. Wow. But I am excited to see the crumb of these. Yeah, so I was not impressed with this filling. It was really hard to spread, and I had no time yesterday, so I did what I could. But I'm guessing the filled ones are only marginally better than the non-filled ones because it really wasn't a consistent process. I'm hoping today's trial I can get a chocolate hazelnut filling that will be more spreadable and will move this product along. They say third time's a charm, but what I'm learning is actually maybe the 10th time is the charm when it comes to testing new things. Okay, just do a quick temperature reading on all this dough. We're okay here. We're okay. We're still okay. Also, it feels like something's just off. Like, I must have done something with my formula. That dough should not be that dry. Sure enough, that's gonna be a remix. I must have been copying things way too quickly, and I made some sort of a calculation error because it's, I just tried to have yesterday's recipe, and yesterday I didn't get sand. So let's go back to the computer and figure this out. I really need to take some time just to put this in Excel, and I can't wait for Michael, our systems director, to be done with this amazing program he's been building for a couple years now. We've been using prototypes here at Proof, just like minimal viable for production, but we're building this bakery management software, and recipe versioning is a big part of it, mainly to prevent these kind of issues of transposition, which, to be honest, I just have so much to do on a daily basis that I have to really use my time very wisely. And there never seems to be quite enough. So it's easy to end up just doing a little too much too fast to where I just don't have the time. So like I'm often just taking a recipe and modifying it in Word, where I should really be using Excel at the very least, but versioning can be a challenge, like documenting versions, especially I'm usually testing and then off to meetings and completely different elements of my day. It's not like I can just test. I'm also managing construction projects and running the core business, which doesn't care how much I'm testing. So let's try this again. Fresh printout. I just fed my recipe into AI and said, cut this in half for me. And it didn't. So, and I didn't bother to check. But let's get a fresh start now. R&D is about making all the mistakes there are to make before you pass the product onto your team, and the mistakes become much more consequential. Enriched breads are already expensive, as doughs, but it's nothing in comparison to just losing the time on labor. So my slightly hydrated flour here needs to be disposed of. Good news, I barely used any of the sensitive ingredients. The problem in that whole scenario was for some reason the wet ingredients didn't transpose properly. And amongst the wet ingredients is sweet starter. So I kind of got lucky not to lose very much of my limited supply of sweet starter. That recipe called for 190 grams, and I was just kind of blindly putting the stuff in the bowl. All right, fresh start. So this will be my wet bucket. Get a dry bucket as well. This one will work. Let's go here. So we're gonna start with the wet ingredients and get them right this time. It's a lot more compelling at almost a kilo of eggs. Okay, much better. Starter is 875. Vanilla, 18. This eggs out of my way. I'll need them again for the next dough I'm making. Vanilla. More gram in there. Okay, now onto the dries. $11.97. 513. Sugar. 576. Salt. Salt, there you are. $36. All right, clean start. Sift my dries together. Add them on top of the wet ingredients. All right, let's give this guy another go. Can already tell that it makes more sense right away. I mean, I was watching the first mix, thinking about the stuff in the oven that I needed to pull out. One of my teammates actually came and like flagged me over to the oven even while I was starting the mixer. I was wondering why, like after a minute of mixing, I didn't have incorporation. Obvious, really. Seemed like when I had asked the AI to have my recipe, have portions of my recipe, and then like cut the liquid portions in 10. So just goes to show, like if you're using a tool like that to make your life easy, so you don't have enough time to do all the calculations yourself, definitely still have to check the work. So maybe one day AI will come take over our jobs, but still a ways off, it seems, in handling some basic instructions. I'll grab myself a bowl scraper. So post incorporation, I'm going to kick up the speed and then let it go for that longer length of time. We'll start with 6 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to get another mixer going with another test dough, similar enriched brioche style dough. So we're kind of in that game all day. Once I get that one done, I have to mix some pretzel dough. There's a lot to test, and it's almost overwhelming because I have flour that I need to mill, I have laminated dough that I need to test, and I'm only really doing this on a part-time basis in my role. Partially, like, I got to be forgiving with myself and realize there's only so much I can do at a certain period of time. It just makes me realize, like, wow, as you grow, innovation really requires a lot of intention and investment. Right now I'm using my time as that investment, and over the course of this next season, as we grow, be trying to incorporate that with some teammates as well, so we can keep pushing the envelope on the things we do. The products I'm making R&D wise right now are just items that really haven't been done at scale as far as I can tell, you know, in a prominent way. Certainly not any documentation online on how to make a, you know, sweet starter brioche at scale. We're really innovating in that way, especially when you think about the local flour and just the whole sort of, I guess, farm to loaf situation that we've got going on. Okay, so incorporation's been achieved. I'm just going to scrape down the sides of this bowl and make sure. This feels a whole lot more like yesterday's now. Yesterday I mixed twice this and it was unnecessary, as you could have seen from that final product. I'm not trying to make 80 of these today, and the ones that I made were way too big. So I'm using this smaller planetary mixer. It will change my mixing rhythm though, versus the spiral that I used yesterday. Dough's already got a little bit of characteristic strength for only being incorporated. That blend of local hard red spring along with the base artisan baker's craft flour is achieving a really nice protein level where I can expect a tender but strong final result. So not so strong as to be chewy like bread, but not so weak as to sort of just all condense together and not form those long gluten strands. So it's interesting because it's also a first case of us using our own freshly milled flour to fix protein content in the final product. I'm just getting a little bit more nuanced with the experimentation versus the things we used to do in the past. So let's let this run and get another mix started in the meantime. Pretty stoked about this brioche test. Now that we have an acceptable result that we could roll forward with, now I'm just trying to refine and make it slightly better. I have exactly till the end of this week to improve upon it. Otherwise, I gotta go with the dough that I've already created. No meaningful change in appearance with the final product, but I'm subbing honey for sugar, and honey acts as a natural preservative, so I'm hoping to basically get a slightly longer lasting and tastier final product. So we'll see if we can get it done. Seems like an easy substitution, but honey does incorporate slightly different fermentation properties than sugar. And so, you know, with this sourdough processes and all that, you just never quite know what cans of worms you're opening with what seems like just a basic adjustment. Be a slightly larger batch that will go into that small spiral mixer. All right, got the eggs scaled. I'm gonna put the rest of the eggs away and get some ice. While I'm here, I'm gonna extend the timer by 3 minutes, which will match what I did yesterday. Did like a good 9 to 12 minutes on second speed in the spiral to really develop the dough before I put in the butter in this recipe. Okay. Quick rinse. Collect some ice. It's just that time of year. Oops. Our tap water is running quite hot. Okay, getting some good development. Just got to do a temperature check. Oh, we're fine. Still very sticky to the touch. I'm gonna add another 3 minutes, so that'll be 12 total on second speed. Fill this guy up. That should be enough. Just kind of looking at this recipe, which I've been messing with now for a few weeks, and acknowledging some of the adjustments as we added honey. Definitely some adjustment to the overall water content because honey is partially liquid. I'm gonna add 100 minus the 20 extra grams of egg, so about 80 more grams of water. This extra water in the recipe is useful when dealing with the eggs because they scale out in increments of like right around 50 to 60 grams. And so if you're scaling whole eggs, it's kind of hard to get it just right. Sweet starter. Overplayed there. Okay, just right. Honey's kind of a challenging ingredient in the sense of when do you incorporate it? With this formula, I have been incorporating the sugar incrementally, so I'll play it that way as though it was always made for honey. Seems like a good strategy. The dough's still not overly warm, but it's definitely more like a batter at this stage than it is a cohesive dough. I'm at 76 degrees. Yesterday I started incorporating butter at 84 degrees, and that worked out great for me. So I'm gonna let this guy keep developing. I think I'm gonna set a timer for 6 minutes. That'll put us up to 18 minutes of total mixing. This dough doesn't come together quick, but it does continue to develop nicely, I noticed. My brioche dough is going to another use case today. At the very end of the mix, we're gonna reserve about 1 kilo of dough in the mixer and add some spices to it. I realized I was supposed to bring them from home, so I'm gonna have to run across the street to the store really quick to grab them. But we're gonna try to make some pan de muerto based on the brioche dough. So, something to look forward to. So our rouge de Bordeaux. Let's get the salt going. Slightly over salted should be okay. I'm gonna put the honey in next with the wet ingredients there. To incorporate, I'm gonna spin it on reverse for about 4 minutes. I did notice something peculiar yesterday in this mixer, that when spinning it on reverse, it spins the bowl and the hook on reverse, and I thought the hook was supposed to keep spinning proper way. I gotta figure out if there's something off on my end electrically with that. Anyway, just an observation I made with it yesterday. Let's get the honey in this dough prepared. I need a lot more than that. Overscaled. This should be fine. It's closer to the mark now. Probably a good thing to be overscaled because it's hard to get all the honey out. Let's go to low speed now. I've been getting interested in more natural sweeteners, doing more research on how did we make dough sweet prior to refined sugar, since refined sugar has not been around anywhere near as long as baking bread, and since we know that even in ancient times people enrich their breads, especially for holidays, special occasions, or like if you were wealthy, you probably ate enriched bread all the time. Honey is one of those natural sweeteners, but as are like malt syrups, sprouted malt syrups. So there's a lot of nuance that we could create flavor-wise by shifting away from the refined sugar. Just a thought or an idea for the future here. I'm not even necessarily interested in it from a nutrition perspective, although there's probably benefits there. I'm interested in creating something unique and also using the least amount of resources that come from far away. All right, so I'm incorporating butter into this dough now. It's as well developed as you can get for such an enriched dough without the butter. I just did a window pane, got a nice stretch. One of the challenging things about spiral mixers is incorporating butter for some reason. It really likes to kick the butter to the edges. Or rather, planetary mixers, not spiral mixers. This dough is looking solid. Once the butter's in play, it's going to get a long bulk. We're even going to fold the dough a couple times during the bulk, and it gives me time to make the sauce and the filling for it, which I have to do as well. It's not going to bake until tomorrow, so once we give it that long bulk, we'll shape it into these bundt pan forms and then bake it tomorrow like we baked today's earlier from yesterday, except the one difference today is I'm hoping to find the right sizing and also improve upon the sauce, because I wasn't really a fan of the one that we had. More coming in. About to do the same thing over at the brioche mix. Incorporate the butter slowly. One more dough to mix, and that's hopefully a final edit to the Pretzel formula. I really should do two, mix the baseline versus the alternate and get an A-B. So I'm gonna pick the best one from our previous batch, which we had settled on one of the 4 that I made. You can see that video that we recently posted. And then I'm gonna try to make it a little bit more proof style, meaning that's a pretty white formula overall, no stone milled flour in it. Just wanna see if we can make it more akin to all the rest that we do, which features our flour mill and some other techniques. I'm ultimately going for a slightly longer lasting pretzel if I could. I'm gonna see what this can do on slow by itself for a few minutes instead of standing over it. Scale some butter. The dough's not bad in terms of overall strength right now. I don't want to warm it up too much more because it looks like it's definitely achieving a warmer temperature. So we'll leave that alone and just start putting butter in. It's about right, scaling wise. I'm gonna give it a period of 6 minutes where we're putting butter in. It's also not the largest mix, so it's not easy to kind of have to babysit it. That's what we'll start with. Check on the other one. I'm quite literally folding the butter into the dough here so it doesn't just end up back on the side of the bowl. Probably will anyway, but we can try. That's looking a little better. Four minutes on low should get all that butter in. This one's actually a little harder. The dough is stiffer, so it heats up more quickly. And so getting the butter, all the incorporations like the butter in without it being overheated while developing the gluten can be a little tricky. I'm doing stuff that I wouldn't have to do at scale in a bigger batch, just trying to break the butter up into smaller chunks to make it easier to incorporate. Trying to get to a cohesive dough within 2 minutes. There's a little bit more water to add, and fortunately it's going to be ice water, so it'll help with our temperature situation a little. All right, while that finishes, I'll scale out that water. Need 200. one's looking good. Kicking this up to higher speed. Just to give it a final development, and then that dough will be done. All right. For what we're working with here, still pretty shaggy. 2 more minutes on slow before we kick it up. I really need to spin this dough a little bit faster to finish its development, but it's stiff enough that it's going to end up out of my temperature range too quickly. So I'm trying to keep it from having to go into that fast mode as long as I can. And when I do go fast, I want to be able to add this water in at the same time, so it kind of counteracts the friction. Starting to get better development again. Yeah, I'll be pretty safe now. Especially after 30 more seconds. All right, so now we're gonna go up to a higher speed for 2 minutes with this added water. Should wind up with a really nice result here. Dough is nice and extensible now. It's not breaking as I do this. I can extend out of the bowl in one strand. So you can consider this one done. Very different mixing action between the spiral and this bowl. Meanwhile, this dough is getting to the tippy top of my temperature range, 87 degrees. I've had success there before, but you don't want to go much higher than that. I'm getting a nice structure and development for this stage, enough to go ahead and bin it up. So now I've got to separate out 1 kilo for my pan de muerto test. So let's do that really quick. Oh, this is the scale that just has a dead battery totally. To do it the harder way. That's 2 kilos. There's 1. So for this one, I'm gonna put it in our smallest mixer, and we're gonna add some spices to this 1 kilo of dough. Now I basically just have to get all this stuff in a bin so that we can move on to some of the next projects we've got. Just gonna build myself a cart. Brioche. We oil our bins now with avocado oil, but just taking away any excess, especially since mine are particularly small batches, so I don't really want to put any excess oil beyond just what it takes to lubricate the bin. Okay. Bundt cake dough. It's not really a bundt cake. It's not a pasca. I really don't know what to call this product. Some unincorporated stuff at the very bottom, so I'm gonna omit that. Curse of a planetary mixer. You really have to scrape your bowl, otherwise you get this stuff. That's not a lot, all things considered, but just a good reminder, do better. Dough looks nice though. It's good to be making progress. I was pretty upset with the first trial a couple weeks ago. It just really didn't turn out to anything that was usable. All right, so got 2 more things to finish up mixing, the pan de muerto variant and the new pretzel dough. It's actually 3 things. So it's probably a good time just to run to the store really quick and grab what we need. It's basically gonna be orange zest, orange blossom water, and anise seed. I'm a little worried about finding orange blossom water at this neighborhood grocery store. That's more something that'd be in my house, which is why I should have brought it with me. You think Bash is gonna have orange blossom water? All right, so I'm gonna cut into this guy right now, one with the filling just to get a overall try, and another that has a better size. So this filling, I'm gonna do better today as far as getting more swirl action than just one layer, but the crumb is really nice and soft. Let's give it a try. It's delicious. We're onto something without a doubt. So this was the smallest one. It's like 800 grams. And it doesn't have any filling. I still think it's too big. Without filling, you got that like very velvety crumb structure. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the crumb. I think we could push it even further, to be honest. But it's doing what I need it to do, and it's eating the way I want it to eat. It has like panettone quality to it, but it's not quite panettone. It's kind of in between brioche and panettone. But really rich flavor dynamics between the chocolate hazelnut and that sweet sourdough dough. Has like a slight alcohol development, which is interesting. Wow. Really impressed with the flavor overall. See what the base dough is like. It's really nice on its own. Super velvety crumb. Well, I could eat this all day, but got to get back to work. Okay, so moving on to pretzels. Doing something a little different today. Getting the whole flour base together. And this time I've got a little bit of sifted rouge, some artisan baker's craft, and some freshly milled rye. Hopefully that's enough. A little more. All right, I'm gonna mix these together. And it's mostly because I'm doing something weird. I'm putting in a tangsong or scald into this pretzel formula. That's another thing that sort of makes it very proof, since we love using scalds. So I'm going to add some boiling water to this Cambro. It's going to be quite a severe one, 5 times the weight of the grain. That's plenty. So 57 grams of this flour mixture. $58 grams actually. 290 grams of the water. Got to be precise here. Let's stir this all together now. So why am I doing this? Well, in our other scalded formulas like Coruscant, in particular, the bread lasts longer due to this, you can call it flour paste, pre-cooked flour. It gelatinizes while introducing a lot of moisture, but moisture in a different method. So this water is sort of trapped in this gelatinized form factor with this flour. And when you make a dough including something like this, that water seems to stay trapped in the crumb, leading to something more tender, longer lasting. Never tried it in a pretzel before. I mean, sourdough pretzels are already rare. Now add freshly milled flour to it, add this kind of method to it, make it a sweet starter pretzel, and I think we're, you know, in sort of one of a kind territory, or at least like the territory of, if you want this pretzel, you can really only get it at Proof Bread. That's what I'm going for here. So just trying to really incorporate well to get the most out of this particular flour paste. It's quite a liquidy one at 1 to 5. Could even be argued to be too liquidy. Something to keep in mind if we run this again, maybe you can try 1 to 4, 1 to 3. I mean, with Coruscant, we're seeing 1 to 2, so it's quite a different texture going into the dough. I'm gonna let this cool down. That's why I did this first, so I can get on with the mix. It's such a small amount that this is gonna cool very rapidly. So I have the rest of the flour here for that version. And I'm gonna go into this bowl. $46. I do need some milk. Get that really quick. I wish I remembered this stuff or got a little more prepared. $300. There's that. Sweet starter. Got all the flours here together, so I can go next with those. I need salt. There's a slight amount of honey in this dough as well. So salt. We are. Gonna get this mixing and then I'll scale in the honey. So small, that honey. See how we get that in. Since it's pretzel dough, I'm not going to develop it very much, just really need to incorporate these ingredients together. I have an idea for the honey. See how much my flour paste has cooled down already? It's already lukewarm, which I'll take. Just gonna put the honey right into this, which is also similar to what we like to do with our croissant loaf that also takes a little honey. Don't overdo it. Give it a quick stir into this flour paste. Almost forgot a little bit of sugar in the dough. Very little, get rid of this rye. Okay, take this over to the mixer. Sugar. Tang song, scald. Just gonna call it a scald. It's easier for me to pronounce. Okay, 2 incorporation only again. While that's going, let me get the butter ready for this recipe. salt, sugar, butter, not very much. Cool, that's all I need. Not quite to incorporation yet. There's still quite a bit of flour around. Just waiting for the flour to disappear, and then I'll immediately start putting butter in. Kind of the opposite of the last few mixes I've done this morning, which were all brioche style, where butter went in after the gluten was already developed. In this case, I'm adding the butter in intentionally to shorten the gluten strands. All right, we're there. Okay, I'm gonna let this dough go for 4 minutes on second speed to get some level of development. And I'm gonna get its kind of sister dough comparison ready. So for that, I need another wet bucket. Okay. $200 grams water. Did I put away the milk? I literally don't remember doing this. Ah, the milk I used is gone. So confused. Anyone here see a floating gallon of milk? I just had it. Huh. It was there all along. That's why I don't remember doing that, because I didn't. The dough looks a little bit more elastic, or extensible rather, than pretzel dough traditionally. We'll see how that plays. Okay. Got this. Let's get the starter in here. Okay, rinse off my hand. Dry ingredients now. Going crazy. This scoop. 54. So this formula is mostly just like white flour in the pretzel. Very traditional formula. And in that way, I suppose you can say very like not us. Nothing against traditional formulas. I'm just trying to push the boundaries a little bit on things. I'll settle for it if this is kind of a last effort this year at least to do something very different. Okay, I've got these. So overall, it's just a little bit stickier than normal pretzel dough, but still very workable compared to the stuff we are typically working with around here at Proof. So I don't think it would give us too much challenge. It's not every dough you can just take out in one fell swoop like that, one-handed. Wet ingredients in. Followed by dries. Get some incorporation going while I sort this out. Label this guy. Okay, I'm gonna clean up this counter. It's driving me nuts already. After I get the last bit of butter scaled. Oh. Coming under you, Sarah, here. Okay, 45. This milk back. It's here for a moment. We're almost to incorporation here. Using this tool. Much stiffer this time around. Though these recipes are based on each other, let's get the butter in. .4 minutes here. 4 minutes to clean things up. this anymore. It's here. I'm gonna give this bundt cake dough a fold. Nice. All right, well, I have a little bit of brioche reserved here for the pan de muerto. And I need to go procure the ingredients. So as soon as this pretzel dough is done mixing, I'll bin it up and I'll go to the Middle Eastern store nearby where I will get orange blossom water. It's funny, this is a traditional ingredient in a Mexican bread. You would expect that then you could find it. Maybe I should look at the Mexican markets nearby, see if they have them. I've only ever seen orange blossom water in Middle Eastern stores. I tried the kind of local store nearby across the street, no luck there. Okay, this dough's more or less developed. Still a little gritty. Give it a little more time. The action in the planetary mixer is kind of frustrating because it's just sort of kicking the stiff dough around like a football from edge to edge, barely really working it. So it takes longer for the necessary effect to happen. Okay, got this done. So still quite a bit that I want to get done. I need to run to the store really quickly to finish out this pan de muerto dough, and then we can continue. Okay, so on to the prep side of things. I'm gonna make some orange zest for the pan de muerto, and then these anise seeds might need to be cut a little bit. See what my notes say on this. Lightly crushed. So I'll probably just run that through the food processor, get it a little finer. Trying to figure out what to do with a sense of feeling a bit rushed, like some of this stuff I really want to give time to. Oh, thank you. Is my mother-in-law here? Okay, I'm gonna go say hello to her. This is the secret ingredient I've been waiting for all morning. What's that? I'll come say hi. Okay, got some zest. I'll clean those up in a moment. Let's get the food processor out. I've learned this thing only works in one way. Okay, I'm gonna just do all of this since I'll be using this for the same product all month. Okay, let's actually get the dough configured now. Come on. Go separate. That's 3. Not very much. It's 5. All right. This is my pan de muerto inclusion, pretty small here. Just gonna throw this right on top of the dough and run it through the mixer very briefly. I think I can even put the dough in here afterwards and just get that final coating. This isn't going to be a very long process. I'm going to grab that bin to put it in. Just folding these inclusions in more or less on slow. So as soon as the bowls look clean again, I'll be done. Really fragrant. Okay, I have my dough. Just gonna let it soak up some of these lemon orange zest juices in here. So that's all set. My pantry for R&D is growing. One of the concerns about mixing R&D in this like main production zone is that's what tends to happen. You end up having a lot of ingredients around that you don't use daily. So considering moving R&D to Tempe eventually, when that location kind of gets its legs underneath it. But for the time being, this is working. This isn't really working. Okay, I got plenty of anise seed now. Moving on. I do need to spray this off. I don't need this anymore. I do need this. All right. Time to make a chocolate hazelnut sauce. But I do need to say hello to my mother-in-law who brought me that orange blossom water, so be right back. All right, I gotta gather some supplies. We need hazelnut chocolate heavy cream. The rest I can just grab from over here. Morning. Got heavy cream. Need some hazelnuts. So, this is only going to be mildly helpful. The ground hazelnuts I already have. I wish I had more of those for ease, but I can produce more. Not that big a deal. These are already roasted and ground for me, but I don't think I have enough for my recipe. Sure don't. Not quite half what I need. So with the rest, we'll get them going on here. I still haven't figured out my best setting for roasting. Yesterday I noticed if I go at 212 degrees on this device, it smokes. But then if I go one step down, it's like not enough. What I'm really trying to establish with all this testing is how can I get to the place where I have ample time to prepare, get all my ingredients in order, do all the documentation so that things run smoothly. But I'm kind of cutting corners on the preparation, and I recognize it's a little bit of overwhelm because it's just the beginning of my day. And so I'm sort of trying to cram all the tests in and then move on to a whole nother half of the day. Granted, beginning of the day, I'm already like 5.5 hours into my beginning of the day today. So testing, has become a big deal, and it's probably one of the most fun things to do. But it's very far away from the stuff that is immediate in the business, the whatever pressures are more immediate that I need to address, whether that be some sort of writing that I need to do, some sort of interaction with people having to do with construction that I need to do, some sort of training that I need to do. So those things tend to be more pressing, and I've kind of come to this conclusion recently that if it's so challenging for us to run tests where I'm squeezing them in, and admittedly, if I look back the last couple of years, we really haven't done nearly as much R&D as I would have liked to. That means it must be hard all over. Like if you're bigger than Proof, or if you're smaller and you don't even have a team. We've really struggled with R&D since we left the garage, and so it's like easy to do R&D when you're at the micro level and sort of doing everything, all processes, and then the process gets harder and harder to do where you need kind of a dedicated person doing it. But the question being, if you have a dedicated person doing R&D, well, is it you or is it somebody else? In the case of Proof, I'm developing some counterparts on R&D, namely like Jamie and Dave have helped me a lot, but both of them have ample experience in non-sourdough applications. And I think I still end up with kind of the most experience when it comes to just a sourdough baseline. And that helps get things off the ground. Also, given I'm sort of in the visionary seat as well for Proof, I end up having a lot of ideas around products and R&D. And so admittedly, I'm still trying to find the right rhythm for us on how to maximize this part of our business. It's not a bad problem, just nonetheless, it can be challenging. Paying for R&D is also kind of a catch-22 because you sort of need it. It's a chicken and egg problem. You know, to get new products on the menu, you need the R&D, but the R&D itself can be very expensive to do, especially from a labor perspective. And so how do you afford it, essentially? Like, how do you spend the money outside of the amount that you're yielding from your actual products? It's already on thin margins. So we have some ideas of how to improve that in the future by creating some sort of like an early adopters program. If we can get our R&D a year ahead of schedule, then essentially we should be on a good seasonal cadence. I should be working on Thanksgiving stuff around Thanksgiving, before or after. And optimally, we would find like a smaller group of people that would be interested in testing the products on a subscription basis, like test baker's box type deal. And providing valuable feedback at that so that we can make the right refinements ahead of the following year. It's kind of an early preview, or even like the ability to taste things that will never make the menu, where they might work out at small batches, but they don't scale up properly. I think people will be into that. That's kind of what we're trying to create with R&D over time. But in the meantime, step one is just get through it and make space for it. It's not hard to do it from a pleasure perspective. Testing things is a lot of fun. It's rather all those other things sort of hanging over your head while you're doing stuff like this that get in the way. Like there's a meeting going on in Mesa right now related to grand opening planning for our new store. I'm invited to it, but I'm choosing to be here right now and work on the future, and having to delegate some to the rest of the team to get things handled. Okay. Smells like toasted nuts now. Those are gonna get ground. I'm gonna make a ganache base now. So at this point, we'll just bring some butter and cream together into this bowl and put it over heat until it simmers. Got some softened butter from Mix Remnants. Wow, that's pretty much ideal. And now the cream. $4.69. This is a very different sauce than I made originally. And namely, that heavy cream ganache base is what makes it different. Keep this somewhat low. Just trying to go for a simmer. Melt this butter down. Should probably scale out my chocolate while that does its thing. It's getting too cluttery on this table again. The same chocolate chips that we use in our chocolate chip cookies, just chocolate chunks. They're semi-sweet. Okay, that'll do for that. Now for the nuts. This way. Don't need this guy. So I'm just gonna make these into a finer meal. Oops. Or not. That looks pretty good. Kind of coarse, but similar to what I have. And I want some texture in this final sauce anyway, so it's okay if they stay a little coarse. Butter and milk are now melted together. Let's add the chocolate in. So this is essentially the ganache base here. Prior to the nuts going in, we should scale out the nuts now while this is doing its thing. So are my already roasted and ground ones. It's going to be the vast majority of this here. Looks like I actually need a little more. Okay, there's the correct amount. Just as the chocolate is fully melted and glossy, let's go ahead and add these in now. Got a little bit more to go with this sauce. I now need to add the powdered sugar. Not very much. It's 30 grams. So also do a little to thicken the sauce, not by much. It's just such a small amount compared to what we're doing. I prefer this to what I was making in multiple ways. It's going to be easier to spread. It contains less powdered sugar. Get a pinch of salt. Some vanilla. Salt stir. Super easy to make this sauce, which is nice to know. Just gonna transfer it now. So it's kind of gritty because the hazelnuts weren't made into a butter, they were just made into somewhat of a coarse meal. Quick taste. Tastes good. Not too sweet. Go ahead. All right, so that can cool down now, be ready for our doughs. I think I've now made everything that I need to make, so I can clean this up. I've got some assembly to do here with konchas, and I've got to deal with my doughs. We can start moving towards scaling doughs. This is my chocolate hazelnut bundt cake dough. I'm just gonna give it another fold. It's looking nice. Pretty well developed. So I've got some additional chopped hazelnuts here that are far coarser. Put the rest of my coarse meal with it. And basically I'm just gonna spread these as an inclusion as well. So I'll have the sauce plus these. So that wraps all the hazelnut work for the day. Put these back. Can move on to konchas now. All right, so we have konchas two ways here. These are yesterday's that basically need to go in the oven. They're a little bit underproofed, which is concerning to me, but we'll see how much they spring up in the oven. Maybe it's a good thing. And then today's. If you can believe it's the same dough That's how small it is early on. So go one tray at a time. Already made my concha toppings. Still working on the topping more or less and the rhythm of this product before it hits the menu. I've got 3 different styles here: chocolate, cinnamon, and vanilla. So today I'm going to scale out 8 of each. Probably not going to need that dough. $25-gram increments. This is essentially a repeat of yesterday's test because I haven't baked these yet, so I can't really, and I still have topping from yesterday, so I can't make any adjustments on this batch, but I think it's a good test and good to get into a rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just one more. 8. Make these into little vanilla topping balls. Okay. Time for cinnamon. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get these rolled up. The one nice thing today is just to see how the streusel holds up over one day. I did modify this recipe. That's actually the big change versus what I've already filmed with conchas, is trying to get the topping not to taste so much like a neutral oil. Like you can almost taste that it's got oil in it. So between the base bun and the topping, just a little too much avocado oil. So went with more coconut oil in the topping. These are also different again because they're vegan conchas, so that makes them unique. And the ultimate desire with this is to bring something to our menu that's sweeter, that is handheld, that many of our vegan customers who come here for the vegan bread can enjoy as well. So I've got one more to scale here. It's a chocolate. It's interesting to me how the cocoa powder is just so nice to work with in comparison. I mean, these streusel tops are so similar to one another, but for some reason, the cocoa powder really ends up creating a better texture to work with that I have not been able to achieve with the vanilla, and the cinnamon is also more gritty than the cocoa one as well. So my favorite one to work with of these toppings is definitely the chocolate one. Had the most success with it early on. Must be some sort of a property of chocolate. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Roll these up. Oops. So much for that one. Okay, I'm going to rinse my hands off. Spray these down. That helps with adherence. It's the main reason for the spraying right now. Switch to flour on my hands. Start with vanilla. Smash. Spread. Starting there. And then I'll cut them all at once. A little bit of chocolate there. Finding a little bit more comfort in doing this part of the process versus the first few. I guess that's the benefit of testing too. You get a little more comfortable. Moving on to cinnamon. And it seems like this topping is almost easier to apply 24 hours later versus what I experienced yesterday. I didn't notice any separation, so it stayed well together for the 24 hours. Not surprised for the ingredients in it, that would be the case. All right, now I'll punch these out. This part I'm still struggling with sometimes, where I'll pick up portions of the topping. So the question is, do I wet this down to prevent that? Let's give that a try. That's better. Worse. Picked up the whole one there. Just gonna have to redo this whole top. Let's try flour. Maybe that will work out better. Still picked some up. Could just be a consistency issue with this particular top. That was clean. Not good enough though, that kind of success rate. Kind of frustrating. That was clean. Having a little bit more success on the flour side in general. Moving on to cinnamon. Close. It does make me feel like the topping's just a little dry. Overall more successful though with the cinnamons. Okay, moving on to chocolate. The chocolate topping is much softer. We'll see what impact that has with its cutting out. In both the cases of the chocolate and the cinnamon, I basically just substituted some cocoa powder instead of some of the flour that was in the formula for the topping. But it seems like the cocoa powder adds a certain moisture that otherwise wouldn't be there. One short. Let's cut these out. 1 for 3 on that one. Definitely seems like dipping in the flour helps, so I need to do it more frequently. All right, perfect. Done here. Clean this up just a little. Good deal. Let's move on. Behind you. These didn't get as much volume yesterday.
They don't seem to.
Well,
Do you do any kind of pressing when you put the topping on?
yeah, but always.
Yeah.
We'll see how they bake up. They'll probably pop. I actually need to cool the oven down a little for these. So, Chance, if you could leave that door open for a moment. It's about 100 degrees too hot in there. Okay, moving on. This oven's taking a sweet time cooling. I'm a little hesitant to load it early because the concha top is really sensitive to heat. I'm really hoping these pop. Thank you.
I'm excited. What is your name? Chocolate and what?
There's cinnamon, there's chocolate, and there's vanilla.
Nice.
It's a new top that's a little bit more coconutty and less avocado-y.
Oh, really?
'Cause it was the
So
only.
it's gonna be a lot like.
It might be a little crisper. You can almost
really?
tell, like, but we'll see.
Nice. I'm excited.
Mostly
How long
just-
does it need?
I'm trying to get this thing to cool down. That's all. Cooling down. It says it. I thought we didn't actually. There's like some sort of thing that they sent with this that, at least in the Mesa oven, they didn't install, and they said this is for cooling it down. Maybe they actually installed it on this one.
Because it cools pretty quick.
Quicker than that? Because I was gone for like 30 minutes and the thing's still hot.
Yeah, it's gonna start. Yeah, it's already dropping, right?
Yeah. Look at that.
Like I said, I thought maybe you knew something I didn't, but I was like, eh.
No, in this case, you knew something I didn't. Wow. That's rapid. I could have been baking this 20 minutes ago. This oven has a mind of its own. It's got so many settings in the computer that I haven't had time to fully explore. We're at temp now, so. here we go. We'll see what these end up like. Set a timer for 15 minutes. All right, let's get started here. This is the pan de muerto. One thing that I got to figure out with this is when I'm going to apply the topping. It looks like at the very end. So tomorrow when I go and bake these, I'm going to coat them with warm butter, like melted butter, and then dust them with some granulated sugar, and that gives them kind of their iconic finish. Let's start with these because they're something a little different. I've got to get the bones and the actual main buns. Before I do, I'm going to give my bun cake dough another fold. It's about as developed as it's going to get. Take a quick look at the brioche. It's also looking solid. A little further along for shaping than I'd prefer, but so be it. Pretzel dough is also going to be a little further along than I prefer, but be okay. More ambitious than I have time for. There's more stuff that I want to do on the pastry end, and yet there's only so much of my day that I can devote to this, so I've got to tell myself tomorrow's another day, and we can make some progress tomorrow. Okay, I think I'm going to make around 8 of these today. And we'll start with 90 grams and see how that plays. Wow, that was spot on. Kind of fun to see this dough with the spices in it. It's got a really nice fragrance to it. Orange blossom water and anise put together really make for a unique combination. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now for the knobs. So these are like the bones. Pan de muerto is what it is because it's finished with a cross of bones on top. And so I gotta also get, see, about 10 grams per bone, 20 grams per loaf, or per bread. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How much do I have here? So 1 more bun, 1 more set of bones. All right, I'll get these rounded real quick. These would also be a good candidate for the divider rounder, but at scale, not for, you need at least 36 for that to make any kind of sense. I already know Logan's gonna hate this product because it gets to be a little artsy. Looks like the 2 fingers works well to kind of get a bone shape where the end of it is a little thicker. Almost the opposite rolling as I'm about to do for pretzels. And it's really not bad. I mean, at scale, could be a lot of this, but it seems like it's going pretty quick. I can do 2 at once. So these will proof together. And then of course the finish will be important. All right, cool. Let's tray these up. Which sheet pans can I rob? These? No?
There's a bunch of clean ones next door in the dish rack.
Heard. Dish rack it is. Okay, got one of these products scaled and done. Bound for the proofer. Got to check on the oven now. It's about time for it to be done. Oh, got great volume. Really happy about that because I was a little worried. Does not appear that anything is over baked yet. Also a good sign. The concha topping is staying on and seems pretty crisp. Just happy that we're getting closer and closer with each trial. This stuff doesn't happen overnight, and I think I need to learn that lesson more than anyone else. So if you're busy trying to perfect something for your own self, whether it be baking or not, just know like testing takes time. You shouldn't go in it with the expectation that the first time it's gonna be the perfect time. Otherwise, everybody could do this. You know, something special happens if you just stay persistent and see your failure and then do something to make adjustments the next time. So I've been learning from this product now for about a month, actually all of these that I'm working on. I'm not quite 100% on any of them, but I'm at that 90% mark with a bunch of them. I think this is the closest we will have gotten to the konchas. So when this bake finishes here, I'm just going to just see if the inside is done. If so, that's all I want. I really don't want to overdo a concha as far as the bake. smells of cinnamon. Okay, we are good on the inside of these. So let's go ahead and pull them. Slightly on the light side still, though. Two more minutes. I don't have any kind of over baking on the top, but the color of the actual bun itself is still extremely pale. I mean, you can't argue that it's golden brown. You know, even the bakers that prefer the blondest bakes would not argue that that's golden brown. So just 2 more minutes to give it some color.
I'm gonna set this in the back, alright? Yeah, make sure it's ground. Yes.
Still a little light, but
I know, it's great. And it's with the rosemary twist, so it's really good.
Oh, those look amazing, John.
thank you.
You're welcome. Come and grab some cheese.
Cheese is the way to my heart.
Oh, wow. Cinnamon's turned out okay. Yeah, not unhappy with the overall appearance of these. You can see some of the ones that I struggled to score yesterday. It's interesting, the chocolate topping was a little stronger before as far as the presentation of it. But I'm really after the flavor. Will it taste less like that neutral oil? I'm okay with the coconut flavor. It's got coconut oil in its base, so we'll see. Let these cool down a minute, and I'll come back and give these a try. Let's give these a taste really quick. I'm going to start with the cinnamon topped one, which I haven't tried yet. Very pleasant cinnamon. Not overpowering. Bun eats nicely. I don't get that residual oily taste that I was getting before, so mission accomplished there. Happy with that. Moving on to vanilla. Nice. The top is crisp with the extra coconut oil. It just flakes a little bit better than it did before. It's probably why the chocolate appears a bit more brittle. Not really a bad thing. I'm genuinely wanting that second bite of these, so that's also a good sign. Definitely the closest I've been with these. I almost feel like I need a strawberry topped one, but I don't know how to do that with natural colors. So I have to look up some advice there, because you could have kind of the trifecta there, or all four like variants would play really nicely together. But that's a good product. I'm very happy with it.